Okay, I'll call the meeting to order. It is 5:01.
402.
Okay.
Oh, 50, yeah.
5:02. 4:02. 4:02. Okay. I'm already
You're already
done.
gone. You're done for the
Done.
day.
Okay, certification of open meeting law requirements have been met.
Yes, sir.
Adoption of the agenda. Look for a motion for adopting the agenda.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, second?
I'll second.
Okay, second by Jean, or Diane. Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Both same sign.
Aye.
No, is Jeannie
Oh,
on? There
Jeannie?
she is.
Okay,
I'm here.
okay, thank you. Motion carried. And then the minutes of the last meeting are, most of you, I think, got them. Any questions or discussions?
But I don't
Not,
remember
look for a
putting them.
motion.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Diane.
I'll second.
Second by Dora. All those in favor of approving the minutes signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Did you hear that, Jeannie?
Yes, I can hear you guys perfectly.
Okay. All
These
right.
new microphones work good. Gotta say, these new microphones are
Yeah.
awesome, so.
Okay, so we have number 5 here is the 2022 budget discussion.
So, a couple things on this topic, not a lot. First of all, our proposal is to bring you the budget for your approval at the August meeting. And so we'll be bringing that forward. Yeah, so we're working on getting the budgets out to staff. There's been a bit of a delay. There's some people who are supposed to work on it have been out of the office with FMLA. So we're a little bit behind, but we've got a month to get caught up, so I don't see that that's going to be a problem for us. And as far as the state budget, the governor approved that last Friday, I believe. And in that budget, it was probably since I've been here, as far as human services, the least amount of change. They didn't take anything from us, which is good. That's been in past proposals. Didn't add much either. There's been some very slight increases in child welfare. There's some changes in wording for children with disabilities, but it's more about making sure we serve them on a timely basis. Did not really provide additional money. Birth to 3, we asked for an increase in the birth to 3 program. The counties have not seen increases in the birth to 3 program since, we got a slight increase probably 8 years ago, and we haven't seen many increases since then. Actually, I should step back. In the last budget, there was a $1.125 million increase for birth to 3, which did give our county about $5,000 more. That was one-time money, and I understand that that's been continued. We asked for an additional amount. We did not get that. All the proposals regarding moving 17-year-olds back to the juvenile justice system have been crossed off. I do believe that there will be conversations continuing in Madison. I think there's some interest in looking at how that happens, but again, there was a proposal put together by the administration that did not talk to the counties who would do all the work. So it's kind of slowing down. I don't know that it's dead, but it's slowing down so that we can have the right people at the table for the right conversations. There were proposals for some additional, number of different areas in the ADRC. None of those came through. Again, didn't cut us, but we didn't really get anything more. So our budget, again, we kind of needed to get a handle on where that is so we can know those numbers so that we can bring that back to you in August for the budget meeting. Kind of usually I've got a list this long of how many things I have to tell you about what is changing, but there really isn't much of anything. There is some new mental health money, but that's mostly to provide, like for larger counties, to provide some facilities. So for us, it might provide some facilities down the road, but we certainly aren't in a position to be opening any of those. And they are very specific on what they're really looking for in terms of crisis stabilization and short-term kind of care. So that's pretty boring report. There isn't much to tell you. So we'll be bringing that to you next month.
Okay. So then we'll schedule the next, for the public hearing.
Yeah, so
It'll be next month.
we need to do a public hearing, and so we will schedule that if it's okay with you. We typically do that at 3:30, right before the board meeting. So our next meeting is August 9th? Is that the right date? So we'd propose a public hearing at 3:30 on August 9th. Typically, we haven't gotten a lot of response. We have gotten a few people to show up once in a while, but not a lot. But it's certainly the public's opportunity to provide some input on what they'd like to see going on in our budget and for services that are needed. You don't all have to be there. You can if you want to. Kurt or Jeannie, representing the chair, will be in attendance. We need one of you to be here. But other than that, it'll just be Erica and I and anybody from the public that shows up. And we'll hold it in this room as well. There will be a notice going in the paper, so if individuals want to provide written testimony, they can do that as well, and that will be shared with you at the meeting.
Okay. Go on to approving and approve, discuss congregate nutrition program bid.
I'm sorry, I've spread out here, Melissa. You can just report from there. So at our last meeting, as you recall, we did not get a lot of bids, and so you said, and as well as did the ADRC Advisory Committee, go out and see once who could be interested, what you could create. So Melissa has some good news for us.
So we did, or I did, speak with Ashley Pub from Arcadia and spoke with the Wanik Center in Arcadia and about the possibility of doing a congregate site in Arcadia. At the advisory council meeting last month, there were council members that specifically talked about interest in Arcadia. And so we talked about what that would possibly look like, and we did get a RFP from the Ashley Pub. And so I just spoke with her just prior to the meeting, and she did come down a little bit from the original proposal, but she has put in a proposal for and Terry Wojcik is the name of the staff, the manager at Ashley Pub, and proposing Wednesdays and Fridays, so 2 times a week, looking at, the proposal is for $7.55 a meal. So that is actually in between our other 2 current sites, Rainbow Cafe in Blair. The current price for that meal is $6.75. And the Boondocks in Galesville is $8.25. So again, Ashley Pub, 2 times a week, $7.55 is what their proposal is. So the way that it would look, the Wanik Center, again, would be the site that we would want to be pursuing. Wanik staff has indicated interest in being the site manager. However, we would be looking at a lot of volunteer recruitment, which I do feel that there is capacity for that in Arcadia. But I think it would be just getting out on the ground and, speaking to some groups in Arcadia and probably looking at needing maybe 2 people volunteering each day that would be on site. Now, Ashley Pub and Wanik Center have both committed to providing the equipment that would be needed. I've toured the site there. I don't know if any of you have, but they do have a area. It's actually the concession area that they would have, in their field house. That would be where kind of the meals would be served out of that area. And then individuals would take the food, the menu or the items, the tray, however that would look, to their meeting area, which is right next to that serving area. So they have a lot of the equipment actually there, but they've committed to purchasing the additional equipment that they feel that they would need to adhere to the standards of heating, cooling, etc. So.
So what questions do you have? What things do you want us to consider? As far as a start date,
They are very eager. They would like to start this as soon as possible. I do feel that, I mean, September to me would be probably the very earliest that I feel we could reasonably get this into place. Some would depend on the training. There is training that would be required. Also, we are in the process of hiring for our nutrition transportation coordinator. I would like that person to be involved in this and would like her, and she really should have some of the same training as far as safe serve, serving food, meeting the codes and standards that would be required. So I think the timing is actually quite good because I myself would like to participate in that training as well if that's at all possible. So that would depend a little bit on when that training could be offered, but GWAR has indicated that can be done. I mean, they would participate, they would conduct the training. So I just don't have any dates at this point of when that would be. So I think fall, loosely fall.
Are they going to prepare the meals at the pub and then transport
That
them to
is
the
what it
Wine
would
Center?
look like.
Okay.
Yes, at least to begin with. I think there could be potential for doing things a little bit differently, but that is the way that it, yes, would be prepared at the pub, brought over. The pub would bring the food over to Wanik Center.
So do they need like an amount pre-ordered before they serve, or how will they?
We would be looking at requiring reservations, which would be similar to what we do, for example, at Pine Creek.
Yeah.
The idea, I would hope, would be to kind of start smaller and hopefully it would grow. The menus would look very much like what the Ashley Pub menus look like, which is, I find, very attractive. A healthy, good tasting menu.
what kind of things are on that menu?
Yeah, a lot of fish, chicken. I think rice, salads.
I've eaten there a couple.
Have you? Do you have any feedback that you'd like to?
No, it's very, very nice. We just had lunch.
Turn your microphone on, please, sorry.
I turned off by itself, so I thought I wasn't supposed to have that on. No, I said I have eaten there a couple times for noon luncheons, just usually a sandwich or soup or something, but it was very, very nice there. And their food is tasty, very tasty.
I feel as though both the pub and Wanik Center really look at it as something they want to do for the community. I think they think it's a really good opportunity.
Get started, they might have a good turnout, because there's a lot of.
I think they have a very good reputation.
And the congregate sites are offering it on-site, or you can do carry-out, so you could do either one. Like if you don't have time to sit and wait, you could just take it with you, so that's another nice feature.
Yeah, the feedback that I've gotten from the state, I met with some of the nutrition people from GWAR about a week and a half ago, and it seems as though they really are looking at things a little bit differently since COVID, and one of the comments they made is that, carryouts may be something that they would, want to continue in the future. I do think that is very wise. One of the examples they brought up to me was there are a lot of seniors that are working, and they don't necessarily have an opportunity to go to a meal site, sit down and eat it if you have a 30-minute or 60-minute lunch break. I have family members that are in their 70s that do work, and that wouldn't be possible for them. But carry-out option is a really good option.
I think it's a good option too, because a lot of seniors can't finish a meal in one sitting, so they take it home, That's good too.
And I get it that the whole idea behind the congregate is you want to have opportunity for socialization and education, all those things. And so certainly that would continue. That would still be an option, but people
mean,
have
it's-
different needs.
Yeah, I think it's just really exciting that, again, I think the Ashley Pub food is good food. I think people like it. For seniors, that live on fixed incomes, to be able to go and enjoy those for suggested donation of $4 a meal, a couple days a week, I think that that's going to be really successful. I think people are going to be very excited about it. I mean, it's one thing to get the seniors excited to come and enjoy the meals, but the staff there are so excited. So it's really it's a really nice match, and I know Melissa's done a ton of work to help put that together. So big kudos to you for that, Melissa.
Yeah, the feedback that I've gotten just from people in the community that I've talked to about the idea has been very positive. I do like, too, that they're looking at doing it on Wednesday and Friday. That wouldn't take away then from what is happening at Dodge, at that site. I could see that there may be some people that may be interested in going to both, so.
The Pine Creek site at the church. So that way people could, in that
Yeah,
area,
Pine
you could
Creek,
go Tuesday, Wednesday,
Yeah.
Thursday, Friday. So that's really a nice option.
Right.
So what was the rainbow bid?
So the current contract that we have with Rainbow is through 2023, and that is $675.
Okay, maybe that's the one I wrote down. How about Galesville?
That is $825.
$825?
And
this
if you
one-
recall, we're currently, through the rest of this year, we're doing that 5 days a week. I will say that the sites are saying that things are going well, numbers are increasing. They had gone down a bit, but numbers are increasing. So the last times I've been looking at the counts, all of them are around 25 per day.
And then the bid from Ashley is,
$755.
so they're right in the ballpark. I think it's a quality meal. I think that's a very fair price. So that would be the proposal that Melissa and I bring forward for your
And
approval.
just the Ashley site?
Yep.
Yep.
Because the other ones have been approved previously.
Yeah, right.
So, we've discussed the Ashley Pub with the Wanik Center is where they're gonna serve then, is that it?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Any more discussion on that? If not, I would look for an approval. Motion to approve.
I move we approve Ashley Pub providing meals at the Wanik Center.
Karen, any? Diane, second. Okay. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Okay, discuss and approve diversion program and policy.
So, I was hoping the district attorney would be joining us. I know when I was up there earlier today, he was in court, so. Oh, is it? Okay, so, we could, if you want to maybe see if you can buy a little bit of time and move on to some other agenda
Sure.
items, and then we
Whatever.
can come back. We don't
We
have a
can-
lot to cover before that, but.
Shouldn't need any motion on that.
Um,
Okay, we'll move on to number 9, approve and discuss 2021 budget amendment resolution.
Yep, that's all put together, so that
Okay.
will be delayed as well.
Let's go to number 10, personnel report.
Sure. So I have a few items I'd like to talk about here. First of all, I wanted to address, in the paper, it reported some turnover numbers, and I wanted to give you a little bit of information around what those turnover numbers mean. The paper reported that for 2020, we had 17 vacancies. I counted 16, but some people leave, right, like, they announce they're leaving in December, and then they leave in January. So I think HR, I believe their number's correct in the 17 vacancies. I'm counting them different in where the year cuts off. But even just say out of the 16, we had 3 brand-new positions, so that's not a bad thing. We had a retirement, something we can't control. We had a termination, which is another thing we can't control. That was all approved through HR and Corporation Counsel. And then we had 5 staff that filled other vacancies. So that brings us up to 10. And so that really means we had 6 or 7 people leave the department. And out of those 6 or 7, at least 2 of them had performance issues documented in their files. So I just want to give you a real clear understanding. When you read 17 vacancies in a department of 50 people, that tells you one thing. When you realize there's a retirement, a termination, 3 new positions, 5 staff filling, so when they leave their position to another position, that creates a vacancy, so that counts. So then you're really left with a little better than a handful of people leaving, and again, a few of them left because the performance wasn't where it needed to be. And we'd had a number of conversations. So I wanted to give you a better picture of what the turnover in our department looks like. I am not personally concerned. Very similar trends are happening in 2021. We had a new position there. We had another 2 or 3 people fill internal vacancies. Again, where that cutoff between years is a little bit different how I count it than HR, but I believe HR's numbers. I'm not saying they're wrong. I just count it a little different. So I don't feel that we have a big issue with turnover. So I wanted to share that information with you. I don't know if you have any questions on it. We have 52 positions, I believe, 51 or 52. We have 1 position that's contracted, so I always end up counting that one, double counting that one. 52 positions. Including myself. So, are there any other questions on the turnover report? Again, I just wanted to provide some clarity. HR did report correct information. I just, and I'm sure when the paper asked for a number, they didn't ask for the story behind it, and I just wanted to provide that information to you. As far as our current personnel, we just in the last month have offered 3 social work positions. They had been open for a while. We were having a really hard time getting many applicants. But we have found excellent applicants for our dementia care specialist, our youth diversion program, and our children's disability program. We got social workers starting in all of, I think, 2, one is, they're still checking the background on the one. But we have 2 positions starting next week. So we should be filling those positions pretty quickly. As Melissa had mentioned earlier, our nutrition and transportation coordinator left. And so we are actually interviewing this week for that position. And we have a social worker in children and families moving out of the area, and so we have a vacancy there. So we'll be, I can't remember when the cutoff for that one is, but that one will be coming up. So we've had some people leaving, but again, none of those are really leaving at this point for any particular issue. Excuse me. The last thing I wanted to talk to you about, make sure I got all my documents here. Here we go. So with the current situation with the ongoing investigation, it's been going on for a month now, and as you have heard from staff, there's a high level of stress. No matter, staff have kind of picked sides. Trust is really kind of becoming an issue. People don't know some people know who's on what side, some don't. Some people are just anxious about the whole thing. And so however this all turns out, it'll just take its own progress and it'll just move its own way. But I have to focus on our staff and getting our work done. We have a very important work to do. We are in life and death type of work. We make sure kids stay alive, vulnerable adults stay alive, that people can get the benefits they need so they can get the health care they need or the food they need. We keep people and help protect people that are in danger of hurting themselves or others, people that are in danger of hurting themselves with substances, seniors that aren't safe in their homes. We do very, very important work, and that's what I really want to spend time focusing on with staff, is to really get our mind back into that game and thinking about that versus thinking about the current state of events among staff. And so I have reached out. I actually have reached out to a couple consultants that do a little bit different kind of work. One is Shapiro Solutions out of La Crosse, and she's done work for a number of nonprofits, really talking to them about revitalizing the organization's culture, helping kind of reunify organizations. And she would propose coming in for like a half-a-day event with staff, and then coming in for a few follow-up types of things, doing some coaching with myself, so that we can all start to come back together as a team. Also, we're looking at Nicole Millerin, who has been, I can't remember her company's name.
It used to be, I don't remember what it used to be, but it's Brave Spaces now.
Okay, so she has done some really good work with our staff around the circle of security, very trauma-informed type of care, very cutting-edge methods of how to serve people when they're struggling, to really bring them to doing their best. And because many of our staff are social workers, all of our staff are in this business because they care about people. We have some pretty sensitive people, and I'm not saying that in a negative way at all. Like, people wear their heart on their sleeve. And so this has been hard on staff, this has been hard on the team, and so she would work, Nicole would have more conversations around the trauma-informed care piece of it, in terms of kind of helping individuals' hearts heal from this. So between the two of them, we're looking to spend maybe around $6,000 or so. I did pull a report on our professional development budget. For our department overall, we're budgeted at $32,400. So far, through June, we've only spent a little over $6,000, mainly because there aren't conferences to go to for the first half of the year with COVID. So I would propose to take that money, those consultant amounts, and again, we've just started conversations. I didn't want to go too far down the road with them without your input. I don't know if you want to talk about it now or if you want to talk about it in closed session, but at least as far as retaining consultants, that was an open session item, and I wanted to bring that to your attention and see if you have any thoughts or any feedback on that. It's, at the end of the day, however all of this ends, we have to come together, we have to be a team, and we've got to really focus on the people we serve. We can't do anything other than that.
Deb, what's that first one? Superior what?
Shapiro Solutions.
Oh, Shapiro.
Yep.
Shapiro. And
Well, I suppose that might be a good idea.
Yeah, I would, if you want to discuss this, or would you, I'd like to,
I make a motion to approve bringing on the two consultants that you've mentioned.
okay,
I'll second.
I
second?
have well, okay, now that, can I ask a question?
Sure.
Go ahead.
Because I don't see that on the agenda is there an amended agenda that I don't have because I'm remote?
And then the
It's
personnel
part of the
report?
personnel report.
But I don't see an item on the agenda to vote to approve to spend $6,000. So I was just curious if there
already
was
budgeted
something
in.
added.
Pardon?
It's already in the personnel and training, or the professional development training budget, so we would be using unspent dollars, because this would be professional development and training. That's why it's in the personnel report. At least, if that's why I thought we could put them together. If that's not proper, you should just tell me that.
No.
Does that answer your question, Jeannie? Those are good questions.
Yeah, since I'm not there, I didn't know if there was an amended agenda or how
no.
that was going to
No.
work. So,
No.
yeah, that was my question.
Mr. Chair?
Diane, you make the second? What?
Michelle.
Or who?
Michelle.
I mean, Karen, Oh, you made the second?
She's
Karen,
over there.
Diane. Sorry. Anyway, Michelle, you made the second. Yes. Okay, motion and second to approve
I think
the.
Sally has more she has questions?
I have a statement. I have worked with Stacy Shapiro from Shapiro Solutions. She's really great. And she can come in even if you know, anybody should be willing to bear inspection, and any organization that does the kind of work that gets done in human services should always be in a state of constant self-awareness and self-improvement, and Stacy Shapiro is really great for helping organizations navigate that, and she does it in a way that is respectful and inclusive, and really, and I've just really been impressed. I've dealt with her in a few different situations, but definitely impressed, and so I would be thrilled to see her come in and see what she can see, you know, and she's really great.
Okay.
I do have a question. I don't, if you have any thoughts or insights. My recommendation would be that we just move forward and get these contracts in place and start, I mean, obviously it'll take some coordinating to get all this put together, but start sooner than later. I know some people might ask, well, do we want to wait till we come to a solution on this investigation? And that is an option. The reason I'm recommending proceeding now is it is just very disruptive right now in the workplace. Staff, no matter where they stand on any of the issues, are feeling really stressed. And we just need to start healing hearts right now. We can't wait, is my opinion. But if you think it's more appropriate to wait, I would certainly take that feedback.
Mr. Chair?
Sally?
I don't think that we should wait. I think anytime you have to deal with a problem, you be reactive as long as you have to be reactive, but then get proactive as soon as you can. And I believe this is being proactive. Whatever ends up happening in the next week or month, these are still valuable consultants that can bring valuable insight, and they're going to improve the situation no matter what. And I think it's important that we start dealing with the situation sooner rather than later. Like I said, being proactive, not reactive. We're at the point we need to be proactive.
Okay. Okay. Any other discussion? Okay, look for a vote here. Motion to approve the professional, what would you call that?
Hiring the consultant.
Hiring the consultant, that would be a good.
Within the training budget.
Within the training budget. Okay. Everybody understand the motion? I just got it understood here, so.
I do, it's just me again, I'm sorry. I do understand the request and the motion, but I just need a little further clarification. So does this mean we do not utilize EAP, which the county has invested a great deal of money to support employees throughout the county? So we would just make them unavailable to human services? Or this would be instead of EAP?
Well, EAP was certainly an option that was provided. I don't know, it was mentioned to me in a conversation on the 15th of June. I don't know what's been shared with staff or what's been shared with the board. We could certainly use them. I think the reason I've looked at these solutions is that they're much more specifically focused on the exact issue we have right now. The training I've experienced anyway from EAP is more general, more broad-based, and not as specific. That's certainly an option. If you choose not to do this and would rather just use EAP, that is certainly your option. The reason I'm recommending these is because these are individuals with specific skill sets focused on helping us focus on our culture, on our becoming mission-focused is the word that Stacy Shapiro used. And then, again, the circle security, the trauma-informed care type piece to help staff that have been really kind of traumatized by some of this. And I don't want to make it sound overly dramatic, but some people have been really upset by this. But if you think that's a better solution, you can certainly bring that to the table, too. I don't know. It's your choice. It's your decision.
Mr. Chair, EAP is always available to employees at any point. They always have access to the EAP services. This is, again, just additional specific laser-targeted consultation services that address the concerns versus an overall employee wellness. This is more structural, I think.
Okay. Well, we got the vote out there on the floor as far as approving this motion, so I would look for approval, and it's already been in the budget, so we don't have to, we can just do a voice vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. We'll move on.
I'm going to hand out the financial report, and I've got,
I need help here.
I'll get it. Just give me a minute here. And Jeannie, you should have all of these. I emailed them to you. Jeannie, do you have the financial report and the other documents I sent you?
Sorry, yeah, I do.
Okay, good, good. I just want to make sure you have what you need there. So, the report in front of you through April shows that we are hanging on with a white-knuckled grip to the black side of the financials versus slipping into the red. We started out the year a little bit better shape. We've had just a handful of expensive individuals. We have one individual that their rate doubled for a period of time. We're hoping that that will come back down a little bit. Again, we have some very disabled individuals that require a pretty high level of care. When possible, we try to move them to family care. If they're children, obviously, that's not an option. But that's really what's mainly driving our budget. As far as our regular operational costs, we're just in line. We're doing just fine. So we are still into the black through April. That's it. I just need approval. Yes, he needs a set. Thank you. These items that Melissa handed out are for the diversion program agenda, which John hasn't come down yet for, so.
And we don't, that's just for information?
So we always approve the financial report.
Okay. I'd look for a motion to approve the finance report.
Make a motion.
Motion by Sally. Diane, second? Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye in approval. I'm getting all mixed up.
On the financial report.
On the finance report.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carried.
Shorted myself a sheet of paper.
And
So, I wish John were here, but John and I talked, John Seisha, the county district attorney, and myself talked. Last meeting was not a meeting we ever want to have again for anybody. And so John and I have talked and said, how do we find a way to come up with a positive solution to what's going on? At the end of the day, the diversion program, as far as how the district attorney wants to utilize that service, and how Human Services wants to supervise it and what our strengths are very different. We are in a very different philosophical place. John agrees with that. So continuing to try to keep this going doesn't make a lot of sense. As some of you talked about at the last meeting, should the diversion program go to the district attorney's office? Well, that's certainly an option that's out there. And so I left that meeting giving a lot of thought to that idea. And the diversion program is not a mandated service by Human Services. In fact, as you recall from the last meeting, the reason we have the diversion program is that it was the recovery court and the diversion program were both operated by one staff person that the district attorney had in their office until January of 2013, when it moved to Human Services as a grant was expiring. So that's how we have it. There's not a lot of rhyme or reason. In many counties, the diversions, and we call it the diversion supervision, because it's the part that we've done as a Human Services Department is supervise the individuals once the court system has declared them to be on diversion, and make sure that they're complying with all the provisions that are in their court order, et cetera, et cetera. So John and I talked, and it makes sense to, what if we transfer it? How do we do that? How do we move it to the district attorney's office? So we have 3 documents in front of you. The first one looks like an audit report. That's a single page. And in that report, you'll look down, probably 3/4 down the page, and you're going to see, under Human Services column, a line called Justice Sanctions, and there's $31,857 sitting there. That amount is sitting there, it's non-lapsing, it just stays there, crosses years. That account was created in 2006, I think, when the Recovery Court program started. There was a grant, and if the grant didn't get spent, it would go away, so they ended up putting money in that account. Then in 2017, when we created the Justice Unit, where we had Recovery Court, Diversions, and Juvenile Justice under one shop, we actually had some unspent funds at the end of that year, about $20,000. And the auditors put it in this account. And I'm like, I didn't even know we had this account. What is this? And so they showed us the resolution that said any unspent money from Justice Sanction should go there. So that's how that got put there. We then brought to you, and has been approved through the county board, a resolution that says we don't need to put that money in there anymore. The programs are funded by a grant. We don't need this special account to hang on to in case money goes away. We can leave the money sit there, but we won't add to it. So this money's been sitting here since 2017. Our Recovery Court has been funded by a grant. We had a 3-year grant, and we're wrapping up our 5-year grant. There's going to be, probably released in the next week, an application process for the next 5-year grant. And so I suspect we will continue to be able to do that. There's more money in the pool than there's ever been. So I think we'll be able to be very competitive. We've had a very good program. So I don't really see the need for us to hang on to this money. So what we proposed, and it's this little document that looks like this, that says proposed transfer. That's the little budget piece that I shared with John. And we would propose transferring the diversion supervision, part of the diversion program, to the district attorney's office on September 1st. The reason I picked that date is because by the time it goes here, and then it has to go to law enforcement, personnel bargaining, exec finance, county board, I think everybody under the sun will have had a chance to approve it by then. And so, but that won't happen until the end of August. And so we put a September 1st date. So for illustration purposes, and again, this would be the district attorney's position, and John and I have agreed that we're going to work together to put together the project initiation form, create a job description, which a lot of it will come from the current job description that we have for the person who does it. But how much they pay that person is between the district attorney's office and personnel or HR office. And so we just put some different examples in here. One right now is what a supervisor is making in our department. One is what a lead worker is making, and another one is what an experienced social worker is making. And so I calculate out their wages through September 1st through December 31st, what their benefits would be, including retirement and FICA, what their health insurance would be, and what the total would be. So that's why there's 3 different options there. And again, until we get the job description and we hire the person, we won't know what that hourly rate is. But this certainly shows you what probably is on the higher end of possibilities. Again, then it shows funds available. We have the non-lapsing account balance, that if that left our department, it really wouldn't fundamentally shift how we do anything. So we could provide that. If it's not all used by the district attorney's office in 2021, they could keep it non-lapsing and use some of it another year if they need it. Then the other piece is in the diversion program. We have people that are on it are charged, most of them are charged a fee to be on that program, anywhere from $10 to $30, depending on what they're able to pay. We budgeted for 2021, we budgeted $7,500. Through June, we have collected $3,150. So if you take the non-lapsing account and the $3,150, we would have $35,007 available for the district attorney to take on this program. And again, the highest cost, which I don't know that it would at all exceed the $33,000, which is the highest staff cost there. If you get the whole budget, then he'd have $39,000 available to him. And again, he wouldn't need it all. He can leave some of it in the non-lapsing for future needs. We will work together on the treatment alternatives and diversion grant that will be released next week. Next week or the week after. I expect it will be out very shortly. So the resolution that's in front of you really outlines that There's the diversion program. DA's office had it. We've done it. We've also provided the financial management of the restitution program by collecting the fees and then turning around and paying the victims. We created some expectations that match our mission and vision as well as match our staff's qualifications. And those limitations don't always match up with what the district attorney needs. And that's because we do very different work. That's not a good thing or a bad thing. It's just we do very different work. It's not a mandated service. It does not have to stay in human services. We have the fund balance that we can transfer. And John and I have made a commitment to work together to make this a smooth transition so nobody that serves through the program would fall through the cracks. And so then the resolution would say that we'd move the program to the district attorney's office, and we would move the fees and we would move all the fees, even though we've collected them since January. Moving the $3,150 or whatever it is that we'll have collected through the end of August would not have we'll be okay with that. That won't harm us significantly, and we can move that to make this a successful transfer. So that's what the proposal is. I know court ran late, so I'm really sorry John couldn't be here to tell you. But we did talk last week, and he does like this idea. He would like to be able to operate this program, and he expressed that to you last month. So that's nothing you haven't already heard. So I don't know what questions you have.
Questions?
Jeannie, I know at the last meeting, you liked this idea, and you're really the one kind of who got me to thinking about this. Do you have any questions or thoughts on this?
Sorry, I had to unmute. No, yeah, I think it's a good idea. I think that's really where it belongs, and I think all parties will be happy. Makes sense. I thought it made sense to me.
Yeah, I think the question was, how do we, yeah, the only question after last meeting was, how do we do it in a way that they can afford to do this? And this was a way that didn't really harm our funds and take away our levy that we've set aside for kids and people with mental illness. So it was that, I think that was the financial piece, was the piece that we had to figure out. I'm sorry, did I interrupt you, Jeannie?
Right, so I think that's no, I was just gonna say it's a good solution. Financially and personnel wise. And, I think the more I sat there last week, or last month, the more I felt like, wow, this needs to go back to the DA's office.
Okay. Any other discussion? If not, I would look for a motion to approve the resolution for the adult supervision from Human Services to the District Attorney's Office.
I would make that motion.
Motion from Jeannie.
Second.
Karen? Second? Okay. Okay, we can just do a voice vote on this, right? Or do we need a?
There is money involved, so you probably should do
Probably better do a roll call. Sally?
Yes.
Diane? Yes. Michelle?
Yes.
Dora?
Yes.
Karen?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
And Jeannie?
Yes.
Okay, motion is carried.
I'll send this around for signature then.
Okay. Okay, yeah. Okay, now you got one more underneath the
Yeah,
the budget amendment resolution?
So this is the budget amendment resolution. We aren't going to discuss the policy because I think at this point, just transferring the program makes more sense than to reconfigure the policy and then just let the policy lapse with the transfer.
What was that last thing you said?
It was the policy that was the agenda item, was to discuss the policy. With the transfer, we won't need the policy anymore, so we'll just let that lapse with the transfer.
Okay, all right, okay, I understand now, okay. So we'll just eliminate the resolution here. We can, are you set to go into closed session?
Yes.
Okay. I would look for a motion to go into closed session. Yep, you have to, you gonna read it? Okay.
G, to confer with legal counsel for advice with respect to pending litigation and pursuant to Wisconsin statute section 19.85, parentheses 1, parentheses C, considering employment, performance evaluation, or investigation of an employee over which the board exercises responsibility.
Second?
Good job, Michelle.
Pardon?
I second it.
Okay,
I was like,
okay, we're our, Sally?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
Michelle?
yes.
Dora?
Yes.
Karen?
Yes.
Rick? Ginny?
Yes?
Okay, we are in closed session. And they have to come and